Today we're going to solve a problem that thousands of men still ignore. How to know when a woman wants to give herself to you, even when her mouth says nothing, but her behavior screams the truth. In this video, you will discover the hidden signals that Machiavelli himself would have used to decipher female desire and act with power, precision, and advantage. Welcome to Dark Psyche. Here we do not talk about superficial seduction, but about human strategy, because desire, just like politics, is rarely expressed directly. Today I will reveal the 6 hidden signs, yes, hidden, that a woman shows when she wants to give herself to you, but does not dare to say it. Signs that only a man with a Machiavellian eye knows how to interpret. In the secret arena where desire and strategy collide, Machiavelli would have noticed something most men never see. Emotions are not expressed. They are maneuvered. A woman who wants to give herself to you will never announce it openly, because in the game of emotional power, revealing what you feel is the same as giving up territory, and no one who wants to keep the advantage offers territory willingly, not without resistance. That is why when she looks at you, speaks to you, or avoids you, what she's really doing is improvising. She is measuring you. She measures your confidence, your reaction, your ability to interpret what she does not say. She is testing whether you are a man who follows words or a strategist who listens to what lies between the words. Because in this field, the one who dominates is not the one who feels the most, but the one who best understands the architecture of desire. In this silent game, every gesture is a piece placed with precise intention. A woman will never show her interest as a declaration. She will wrap it in ambiguity, cover it with doubt, dress it with gestures that seem insignificant. This does not make her manipulative. It makes her human. Because according to Machiavelli, human beings are rarely transparent. They act based on benefit, fear, desire, and calculation. Female desire, no matter how intense it becomes, is shaped by the fear of being judged, of appearing too available, of giving up power too early. That is why she prefers to move in the shadows, where she still controls how she appears and how she is interpreted. When she speaks to you with a softness she does not use with others, she is not confessing interest. She is offering you a clue. When she smiles more than necessary, she is not giving you her heart. She is showing you a crack in her fortress. When she gets close and then pulls away, when she seeks you and then hides, she is not being confusing. She is measuring your ability to read a language older than words. And this is where Machiavelli steps onto the stage. He would have said that the man who understands this language becomes difficult to manipulate because he sees intentions long before they are confessed. Emotional power is not about shouting feelings. It is about recognizing them while they are still disguised. A woman who wants to give something as intimate as her vulnerability, her body, or her trust will never do it suddenly. Before that, she creates an emotional environment where she can feel safe without exposing herself completely. She will give you a small gesture, then a silence, then a contradiction. And if you know how to look, you will see that each movement is a coded message. It is no coincidence that Machiavelli insisted that a person's true intention is never in what they declare, but in what they do without realizing it. She may say she doesn't think about you, yet watch you when you pass by. She may deny having interest, yet remember details she had no reason to remember. And in that contrast, in that tension, is where the real game unfolds. In this terrain, emotion is not a flooding river. It is a strategic weapon. She wants to feel attraction, but also control. She wants to approach, but without appearing like she's chasing. She wants you to advance, but not too quickly. She wants to leave signals, but not evidence. Not because she is indecisive, but because she needs to confirm that you are a man worthy of receiving what she hides. And you, if you act as a strategist, do not pressure her. Do not interrogate her. Do not demand clarity. You observe. You interpret what she does not say. You pay attention to the harmony between her words and her actions, because that is where true desire reveals itself. Emotional power lies in understanding that people rarely tell the full truth when it comes to the heart. Truth lives in nuance, in tone, in contradiction, in the way she shifts when you are near. She may keep a cold posture, but if her breathing changes when you approach, she has already said more than enough. She may claim she isn't interested, but if she looks for your attention, even with excuses, She has already expressed the opposite. And it is precisely in this duality that the next stage of the strategy is born, the strategic reading of behavior. Because once you understand that desire hides itself, you learn to interpret the signals that reveal it without a single word. In The Art of Power, Machiavelli warned that gestures reveal far more than speeches. And when we talk about female desire, this principle becomes law. A woman rarely declares openly what she wants. She prefers to wrap her intentions in a silent language made of movements, pauses, and contradictions. The ordinary man calls this confusion. The Machiavellian man calls it information. That is why, if you want to understand when a woman wants to give herself to you without saying it, you must become a reader of details, an interpreter of human behavior. Do not watch what she says. Watch what she does while she says it. When she speaks to you, don't only pay attention to her words. Pay attention to how she holds them. The slight tilt of her body toward you, while she insists she only sees you as a friend. The smile that escapes even when she tries to stay composed. The spark in her eyes that appears when you mention another woman. All of this is a parallel speech, a silent manifesto that contradicts her declarations. Machiavelli would have said that those who wish to preserve their reputation never show their intentions explicitly. And that is why a woman who wants you but fears losing her dignity hides behind these double signals. For a strategist, contradiction is not confusion. It is evidence. Also, observe how she manages her distance with you. Approaching isn't always physical. Sometimes it appears through her need to share secrets no one else hears. She asks you about small decisions. She takes interest in your routines. She asks for your opinion on irrelevant things. It is not the question that matters. It is the permission she is giving you to enter her world. The man without vision thinks she just wants to talk. The man with the Machiavellian gaze understands that whoever seeks advice seeks connection, and whoever seeks connection seeks intimacy. But micro-expressions also betray what she tries to hide. When you greet her, her face lights up faster than she can control. When you leave, her eyes follow you for one more second. That small second for the average man is monumental for the strategic observer because that second reveals she is paying attention. And in the human game, attention is the first currency of desire. Machiavelli said, "A prince must watch even the smallest gestures of his enemies. So why would you not watch the gestures of the one who may become your most intimate ally?" But the most revealing sign is how she behaves when you are not there. If someone mentions your name and she smiles without meaning to, if she tenses, if she lowers her gaze shyly or raises her eyebrows as if she knows you too well, there lies the truth her mouth avoids. Desire is not expressed. It leaks. She may not talk to you that day. She may even try to ignore you. But if her body reacts when they mention you, you have discovered the crack in the mask. And inside that crack lives her real intention. Her behavior also becomes strategic when she feels she is crossing the line between attraction and desire. She begins to approach you through excuses. She texts you because she saw something that reminded her of you. She touches your arm by accident. She asks you an unnecessary question just to restart the conversation. She does not need reasons. She creates them. She does not need coincidences. She designs them. Machiavelli said that politics is the art of creating opportunities disguised as circumstances. This is exactly how a woman behaves when she wants to get closer without confessing it. She creates opportunities to see you, but hides them under the appearance of something innocent. Even her absences speak. A woman who distances herself abruptly after showing closeness is not losing interest. She's evaluating your reaction. She watches to see if you look for her, if you notice her silence, if her withdrawal matters to you. This apparently contradictory behavior responds to her need to know whether her desire is returned without risking her dignity. And this is where the Machiavellian reading becomes essential. You must understand that her retreat is not rejection. It is a calculated test. Strategic reading also includes how she interacts with the environment when you are present. If she becomes more active, laughs a little louder, or tries to stand out in the group, she is not doing it for them. She is doing it because you are watching. Her behavior recalibrates itself to be seen by you. Yet she will always deny it. Do not confuse denial with sincerity. Denial is her shield. Now that you understand how to decode these silent signals, You are ready to move into an even deeper intelligence of female desire, the one that connects her indirect language with her emotional tests. Because a woman who desires does not only approach, she evaluates. Imagine for a moment that you are a silent strategist observing a board where no one knows that you are playing, and even less that you are winning. Machiavelli would have said that real power is not held by the one who speaks the most, but by the one who sees the most. And in the realm of human desire, this law becomes even more precise, because most men become desperate for signs. They want explicit words, direct declarations, obvious behaviors. While the man who truly understands human nature does not wait for the obvious, he interprets the subtle. That is the advantage of the cold observer. The man who does not react impulsively, but analyzes, measures, and understands before acting. When a woman feels desire for a man, she rarely dares to show it directly, not because she lacks courage, but because her psychology, her social conditioning, and her own strategic instinct lead her to hide what she feels most intensely. The inexperienced observer gets trapped in these subtleties without understanding them, but the cold observer sees beyond the surface. He notices how her breathing changes when he enters the room. He perceives the discomfort she feels when another woman gets too close to him. He analyzes the slight tremor in her voice that she tries to hide while pretending indifference. And most importantly, the cold observer does not rush to respond to these signals. He lets them fall like autumn leaves, one by one, allowing them to reveal a pattern. Because true power lies in not needing to confirm anything immediately. Power lies in watching a woman reveal her interest indirectly while he maintains an unshakable composure. That composure is a silent test. A woman who feels desire for a man she cannot decipher inevitably intensifies her signals. The warm, impulsive observer would have already spoken too much, misinterpreted something, or sought approval. The cold observer, on the other hand, inspires in her a deep blend of intrigue and attraction because he is not guided by emotional excitement, but by strategic clarity. Machiavelli taught that a prince must understand the movements of others before allowing others to understand his. The man who masters this advantage observes every feminine gesture as a piece of information. Every shift in her tone, every unnecessary pause, every question disguised as casual curiosity, every apparently innocent comment about whether you've been busy or if you have plans for the weekend. The cold observer does not get excited, does not rush, but he also doesn't detach completely. He remains present, attentive, calm, which makes her unconsciously reveal even more. While other men look for quick answers, he builds understanding. He watches how she adjusts her hair when she sees him, how she changes her posture when he's near, how her pupils widen for a brief second, how her entire energy shifts. This is not paranoia. This is strategic reading of human behavior. Everybody tells the truth, even when the mouth hides it. And that is where the advantage of the cold observer becomes a powerful weapon. His coldness is not indifference. It is intelligence. It is not distance. It is clarity. It is not lack of interest. It is emotional mastery. This advantage not only allows him to recognize a woman's hidden desire, it also protects him from falling into illusions, from confusing politeness with attraction, from mistaking attention for emotion. He is not fooled by first impressions or by dramatic gestures. He knows some women send signals without real intention, others act out of ego, others out of play, and others out of simple social habit. But the woman who truly desires to give herself acts differently, with patterns that are more consistent, deeper, more evident to the man who knows how to observe without getting lost in his own impulses. The cold observer is immune to self-deception because he does not observe to feel better. He observes to understand, and this understanding places him in a position of silent power. She feels that he sees her more than she wants to admit, that he perceives what she tries to hide, that he recognizes movements even she does not know she is making. And this sensation for a woman is as unsettling as it is attractive, because feeling seen without exposing herself fully inevitably leads her to show a little more, approach a little more, reveal a little more. And in this process, a natural transition begins toward the next psychological phase, the next feminine emotional movement. Because when a man observes with strategic coldness, the woman does not only intensify her interest, She begins to change the way she behaves around him. She leaves behind neutrality and enters a more vulnerable, more explicit, more revealing territory. And this is where the next point begins, where the cold reading of female behavior transforms into a deeper understanding of her emotional and physical shift as attraction starts to dominate her. When Machiavelli wrote about rulers, he warned that the deepest intentions are never shown directly. True motivations hide in actions, in silences, in contradictions. And in the realm of human desire, this law becomes even more evident. A woman rarely expresses her willingness openly, not because she doesn't feel it, but because she understands consciously or instinctively that revealing her intention too soon would leave her vulnerable. Her strategy is to act indirectly, wrapping her interest in a game of calculated ambiguity. The man who learns to decipher this game gains an advantage few men ever reach. And here the first nuance begins to reveal itself. When a woman wants to give herself emotionally or intimately, she does not move like someone who demands, but like someone who invites without inviting. Her signals are not clear summons, but strategic movements that protect her dignity while testing your emotional intelligence. She will not say, "I want to be with you," but she will give you opportunities to discover for yourself what she does not verbalize. If you fail to notice these opportunities, she interprets it as a lack of perception. But if you understand them without exploiting them, you advance on the board where she has placed you. Observe how she behaves when she wants a man to see her intention without having to declare it. She does not expose herself. She leaves small traces, an innocent-sounding question, a comment that opens a door, a joke with a hidden meaning. Machiavelli affirmed that wise princes never announce their strategy, but they leave enough signals for intelligent allies to understand where the game is heading. A woman who wants to give herself operates exactly in this way. She does not declare. She insinuates. She does not push. She facilitates. She does not reveal. She suggests. What's fascinating is that this behavior is not weakness. It is tactics. Because in her emotional world, a move too direct could mean rejection, loss of reputation, or giving too much power to the other too soon. And in relationships, just like in politics, the one who gives everything from the beginning becomes exposed. This is why the woman who truly desires often acts with a mixture of advance and retreat. One day she gets closer, another day she steps back slightly, not because she has lost interest, but because she wants to confirm that you have the strength to perceive what she does not say and the intelligence to act without depending solely on explicit words. These indirect signals do not only reveal desire, they also reveal a test. She evaluates whether you are capable of interpreting the implicit language. The man who only understands what is said directly falls outside her emotional radar. But the man who reads between the lines, who deciphers what she tries to hide, who captures what lies behind a gesture, becomes an ally worthy of trust and attraction. Because in her internal logic, if you can understand her silent signals, you will also be able to understand her deepest emotions once the relationship advances. And this is where the true Machiavellian principle emerges. He who masters the reading of the indirect has an advantage over the one who waits for clear declarations. Life and desire do not reward the naive, they reward the observer. Machiavelli would have explained that actions reveal more than words, and that the truest intentions manifest in subtle decisions. A woman in love or inflamed with desire follows a pattern. She contradicts herself slightly, changes her tone around you, shows interest disguised as coincidence. All of this is part of her strategy to avoid risking more than she thinks necessary. That is why when she wants to give herself but doesn't say it, her behavior becomes filled with signals that seem small but carry deep psychological meaning. She asks for help with something trivial, as if it were nothing. She tells you something personal, as if it were just a comment. She smiles more with you than with others. She accidentally mentions the type of man she finds attractive, and that man suspiciously resembles you. None of this is accidental, but it is designed to look that way. It is the art of hinting without admitting, of showing without confessing. The man who understands this art gains the ability to read not only what she does, but what it means. And when you understand that, you recognize the next move in her strategy, the way she seeks your company under the disguise of chance encounters. Because once she begins acting indirectly, The next step flows naturally toward proximity, a proximity that appears casual but responds to a desire already forming in silence. Yes, when you add each indirect gesture, each calculated contradiction, each approach disguised as coincidence, the full map reveals itself with Machiavellian clarity. A woman rarely exposes her willingness through words, but she always expresses it through actions. And only the man who observes without anxiety, interprets without rushing, and acts without losing his own value can understand what other men fail to see. Female desire, like the strategies of a cunning prince, moves in shadows and subtleties and signals that are not announced but discovered. When you learn to read the silent language, you no longer depend on what is explicit. You see what she feels before she admits it. You perceive her intention before she confesses it. And you move with advantage, not to manipulate, but to understand. Because in the terrain of emotional power, the one who understands the hidden dominates the visible, and the one who dominates the visible selects his next move with absolute clarity. These signals are not obvious, not loud, not direct, because what truly matters is never announced. The woman who wants to give herself to you will not say it, but she will show it. And now you have the eyes of a strategist to see,